Now the whole point behind it is, one, it's actually a little bit easier to grip. Two, it's the only way to really get the truest movement out of the ball. Because I don't know if you've ever tried, but if you get one ball out of the box or the bag, you really can't throw anything with it. It'll just spin and not really do a whole lot. So all Wiffleball pitches is the slider. And as you can see, the grip, you hold it so that the holes are to the right of your hand if you're a righty. I mean, all of my instructions are going to be for right-handed, and everything's just for the opposite of a left-handed pitcher. But holes to the right, and you can really move your fingers anywhere along it. But the most important thing about throwing the slider is the mechanics. The mechanics of throwing a slider are probably the most similar to throwing an actual baseball pitch. For example, you need to make sure that you stay closed when you're throwing the ball, just like you would when you're throwing like a fastball, so that you don't fly open, lose momentum, lose accuracy, etc. And two, you want to make sure that you follow through on the ball, because it's pretty easy for you to release it high and it should just float away. So it's important. You probably, if you're a right-handed thrower, you want to aim for probably the rear end of the batter, so it's both down and in, and so the natural movement of the ball will take it up and across the plate. So probably the next easiest pitch to throw is the riser. The riser has the same grip as the slider, but it is with the holes to the right, and you throw it sidearm, and like its name, it rises. Actually, it rises a lot. But you need to aim low, obviously, to counter the effects of the movement. This is a little more than the slider that you would have to toy around with your mechanics, because there are really a lot of ways to do the sidearm to get the movement. But probably the general premise for all slider motions is, or riser motions, is to aim into the ground to counter the effects of the ball. Screwball is probably the next hardest pitch to learn. It moves exactly the opposite of the slider. Instead of across and slightly up, it moves the opposite laterally, which would be away from a left-handed batter or into a right-handed batter, and slightly down. The grip, therefore, is obviously the opposite of the slider. Instead of having the holes to the right, the holes are to the left. Probably the general rule of thumb is you would want to aim at about the shoulder or the head of a left-handed batter to get it to move into the zone where you'd like it. Kind of the rule of thumb is the opposite of the slider. Slider, where you step in towards the right-handed batter and then throw. The screwball, you want to do slightly the opposite. You want to open your hips up just a little bit early so that you can throw across your body, because you will need to do that to get the ball across, because since it's a screwball, it's going opposite of the natural motion. You're going to need to open up your hips a little bit and then release as needed. To get the maximum movement of the screwball, scuffing the ball well is very important, because a lot of the times you could probably get by on a slider and a riser without scuffing it up real well, but the drop and the screwball do need to be scuffed very well. And you throw the sidearm to about submarine, and like its name, it drops. It really is a devastating pitch. It's like a 12-6 curveball. Just dies. And the mechanics are really unorthodox. There's a lot of different ways to throw it to get it to work for you. But generally speaking, you want to drop down pretty far, bend at the waist, get your arm slot about definitely at least sidearm or below, and then release. Hopefully, the thing is you need to get the ball down so that the ball is at least with the holes up or slightly cocked one way or another to get it to have the devastating down movement. Final pitch I'm going to talk to you guys about is the changeup. It's just what it names. It's a change of speed, off-speed pitch. Just kind of wanted to mix it up in there. And as you can see by the pictures, it's held kind of like a baseball splitter, that you put your index and middle finger in 2 holes across from each other, and then you just put your thumb underneath. And you just throw it like you would a normal fastball, you know, over the top. You could throw it sidearm, you get a little tailing action, which is nice, but you can just throw it however you want, you know, get it over the plate. Most important thing, though, is if you can replicate your slider or your screwball motion, but just with the changeup, with the grip and the way it comes out of your hand, the ball spins and doesn't really break in any direction, just kind of floats, and obviously at a slower speed because you're slowing it down with your fingers. So it's a great pitch to mix up in there.